I can't hear the chair.
Chair
I can hear you.
Heredia, let us fix the audio. We can hear you very low level. One moment, please.
Thank you, Kristen.
Can you try again a sound check, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, it's still the same low level. Give us 1 second, please. Can you try one more time, Chair Heredia?
Yes, can you hear me?
Good to go. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. This meeting is now called to order at 5:35 p.m. Madam Secretary, can you please call roll?
Absolutely. Chairperson Heredia,
Present.
Vice Chair Raul Velasco,
Present.
Commissioner Carlos Jose Barrera,
Present.
Commissioner Jason Gavilanes,
Present.
Commissioner Amy Sanchez.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Chavez, can you lead us in an invocation, please?
I will. Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission and staff. Please bow your head in prayer with me. Our Heavenly Father, we are thankful for our city and for those citizens who give of their time and efforts to serve on the Traffic and Safety Commission. We ask that you be with these commissioners as they consider those matters which come before them, helping them to make those decisions which will be most beneficial for our city. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Gavilanes, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes. Would you please place your right hand over your heart, please? Sorry. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Madam Secretary, was the agenda posted according to state law?
It was posted according to law.
Okay, this is the time given to the public to speak on agenda and non-agenda items.
No comments were received, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I need a motion from commissioners on approving the minutes of the meeting on September 6, 2022.
I'll first the motion.
Okay, and I need a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, can you please take roll call vote?
Yes, Chairperson Heredia,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we'll go on to the first item on the agenda here, traffic safety analysis, a request to address pedestrian safety concerns at Florence Place and Perry Road. Ms. Chavez, will you please give the report?
Good evening, Chair Debbie and members of the Traffic and Safety Commission. This evening, our city engineer, Doug Benosh, will be providing the report on his investigation safety concerns at the intersection of Florence Place and Perry Road. Thank you, Doug.
Good evening, commissioners and chairpersons. We had a request from a resident regarding pedestrian safety at the intersection of Florence Place and Perry Avenue. We took a look at it, and here's our findings for what we found. Florence Place is a 4-lane minor arterial with parking on both sides. Perry is a local residential of 2 lanes of traffic and parking on both sides. The actual intersection is controlled by 4-way stops in all directions with painted crosswalks and on all four legs. We did run an accident history of the intersection for the last 3 years, and basically there was 2 accidents, one of which hit parked cars, and one was a broadside in the intersection. None of the accidents would warrant any other additional safety features because everybody's supposed to come to a 4-way stop. So those are all driver error issues. Regarding pedestrian safety, there's nothing more safe than a 4-way stop and painted crosswalks. From that level of improvements. In addition, there's also street lighting on all 4 corners in various angles to cover the entire intersection. So that standpoint, there's not a whole lot more we can do for the intersection. We will probably continue to monitor this as we see necessary, based on if there's an increase in traffic accidents. And so our recommendation is that you receive and file this at this time. And I'll answer any questions.
And Doug, this concern was brought up by a resident, correct?
That's my understanding.
Yeah. Did they mention a specific incident or situation that that they felt that intersection was unsafe?
No, they did not.
Thank you.
When the police department monitors the intersection or a street, when it's referred by our department from residents or through the commission, the police department could identify a pattern of activity, maybe if it's speeding, through the use of the new radar trailers or an officer actually sitting out there and monitoring. So if they do pass on any information that identifies any other pattern of activity that the commission with our traffic engineer's investigation could further enhance the intersection, we'll certainly bring that back to the commission as well. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'm very familiar with this intersection by the park here. And as far as pedestrian safety goes, I know it's somewhat of a long crosswalk going across like 4 lanes and 2 lanes of parking across Florence Place. The only thing off the top of my head I could think of is maybe like a lighted crosswalk that'll flash, similar to a few other crosswalks in the city, since it might take a while to get kind of across all those lanes.
And on the subject, actually just this week, today, more recently, we were talking about a pilot crosswalk flag safety project that we'll be installing here at this intersection and the one on Florence Place at Perry, just west of the intersection at the other end of the park. So essentially it's containers will be placed at four different posts to cover all legs of the intersection, holding, little handheld flags that a pedestrian walking there could grab one, hold it up while they're crossing in the crosswalk, and then put it back at the other container post when they're done crossing. So it's a concept that was shared with us, and we are implementing it here at these 2 intersections just to see what that does for, making the pedestrian more visible as they're crossing and improving pedestrian safety. So we are trying that out. If you drive by the intersection or walk there, you'll see the flags. Hopefully they'll stay in place for a long time, but it's all honor system. There is no one monitoring the flags and placed there at the posts, containers that are being, by the end of this week, they'll be out there. So we'll report back on any feedback, or we welcome feedback from the commissioners on that. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. We'll definitely see how it goes. Okay, so I need a motion from the commission to go ahead and file and receive and report, file the report.
My first motion.
Okay, and I need a second.
I'll go ahead and
And I'll,
Okay, Madam Secretary, can you please take roll call vote, please?
I'm sorry, can I please get who seconded that? Was it
Oh, it was me, Carlos.
Commissioner Barrera? Okay, thank you. Okay, sure. Chair Heredia,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go to the next item here, traffic safety analysis. And Ms. Chavez, can you please give the report?
Yes, good evening again. Commissioners, this evening's report for a request for a blue curb or disabled person parking space at 6113 and 1/2 Gallon Street. Gallon Street will be provided by our city engineer, Doug Benosh. Thank you,
Good
Doug.
evening. Good evening again. Tonight we have a request for installation of blue curb at 6113 and 1/2 Gallant Street. Gallant Street is a local residential street with a prima facie speed limit of 25 miles an hour. The street basically has multifamily dwellings on both sides of the street with on-street parking. The resident is requesting a blue painted curb on street for disabled person access. As required by the city's policy, the vehicle in question utilizing handicap placard issued by the state of California and is to be registered to the resident along with the vehicle address of the property. The resident did indicate that there's assigned parking for her unit on site, but she has a very extremely large vehicle that does not fit down the driveway. Nor does it allow for turn maneuvers back where there is parking, being that the lots are narrow. So with that in mind, it's our recommendation to have the city paint blue curb upon your concurrence and post a sign and paint the blue curbs. And also the applicant will provide a valid handicap placard issued by the state to park in that space. If you have any questions, I'll be more than ready to answer them.
Okay, if there's no questions or comments, I need a motion from the commission to direct staff to request city council consideration of installation of blue curb at 6113 and 1/2 Gallant Street.
I'll first motion.
Okay, and I need a second.
I'll go ahead and second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, can you take roll call vote, please?
Yes. Chair Heredia,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, traffic safety analysis. Ms. Chavez, will you please give the report?
Yes, good evening, commissioners. Our city engineer, Doug Benosh, investigated the request to install a traffic signal at the intersection of Garfield Avenue and Quinn Street, and I will turn it over to him for the report. Thank you, Doug.
Well, thank you. Good evening. We had a request from a resident to evaluate if a traffic signal could be installed at Garfield and Quinn. Traffic signals for their installation We follow the manual and uniform traffic control devices signal warrants, which looks at volumes of traffic, accident history at the intersection, and configuration of the intersection, along with several other factors that we're going to take into address for that. In looking at this intersection, Garfield and Quinn, with Quinn on the west side of Garfield and Felix on the east side, Garfield being a 4-lane arterial with raised center median islands and on-street parking. Both Quinn and Felix are minor streets, local residentials, with single-family, multifamily homes on both sides with parking on the streets also. We took a look at the signal warrants, and knowing that we just put a signal in at Garfield and Muller, about 300 to 400 feet away from this intersection just recently, we could direct pedestrians to that intersection. But then again, when looking at the traffic data, the actual counts of traffic and the accidents do not warrant the installation of the traffic signal. That's really the big key. So this time it's our recommendation not to install the signal at this time because it does not meet warrants. And staff's recommendation is to receive and file this report and revisit the intersection in the future if conditions change. Can I answer any questions?
So can you confirm if there's already some sort of like pedestrian crosswalks, lit up crosswalks? Yeah.
You're right. I failed to mention this, but at the intersection, there is a flashing beacon for pedestrians at Quinn and Garfield that is operational and functional.
Oh, thanks for clarifying.
And it's our position that flashing beacon system will remain in place and operational.
Great. Is there any possibility that the current beacon is damaged or not functioning properly, causing the resident to?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Vice Chair, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, you broke up.
Yeah. Can you confirm that the current beacon is fully functional and not damaged?
I can share, that is a beacon I have reported to our staff for the servicing to be done by the contractor. So there have been times it has not been operational, such as the light, one of the lights is turning on, flickering, and the other one on the other side of the Garfield is not. So it's operational, but it is an older style beacon. I don't know how long it's been in place. But if you do see that it's not working at any time, please let us know. But it is serviced and inspected by a contractor, and then staff also check up on that. But Doug, would you guess, Veronica, how old that is? How many years ago it was installed?
It's at least 5.
At least 5 years.
Probably 7 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thanks for clearing that up.
Keep an eye on it. Thank you.
No further questions from my end.
I had a quick question on it since it looks like it was brought up to Public Works. Most likely this looks like a pedestrian issue in crossing the street, but I was just wondering if by any chance it was brought up because it's hard to turn out of the street like in a vehicle.
It was hard to
I'm sorry, the request was just on how to make that intersection safer. And the suggestion was made for a traffic signal, Doug, unless you know otherwise, but that was it wasn't specific to vehicle movement or pedestrian activity that I recall.
That's how I understood the request.
Got it. Okay. I'll need a motion from the commission to go ahead and receive and file the report.
First motion.
And I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, and Madam Secretary, can you take roll call vote, please?
Yes, Chair Heredia,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is another traffic safety analysis. Ms. Chavez, will you please give the report?
Yes, thank you again, Chair, and good evening, Commissioners. We also have our city engineer presenting this next report for the evaluation of the intersection at Garfield and Shoal Street in light of existing roadway alignment issues. So I'll let Doug provide the report on that. Thank you, Doug.
Oh, no problem. Good evening. What we had a safety request of Garfield and Shoal. And if you're familiar with the area, it is an offset intersection with Shoal, where the east leg of Shoal that enters from the east side of Garfield to the west side axis of Shoal is about 60 feet of an offset. The east leg of Shoal is basically a combination of full commercial on the south side of Shoal and multifamily on the north side of Shoal. That's the primary traffic generator, is the commercial access out of there. They make left and right turns out of Shoal onto Garfield. The west leg primarily gives access to the public works yard and direct connection to Eastern. A significantly lower volume of traffic on that section. Their offset intersections are primarily due to the historical development of the area. Where one development came in and laid out their home developments back in the 50s, 40s and 50s. And then a second development came in afterwards and they thought better of it. And because the traffic volumes were much less back in the day, they allowed the offset intersections. So surprisingly, if I remember right, the accident counts, there's not a whole lot of accidents at the intersection. There's only been 3 accidents in the last 3 years that were right-of-way violations, and for either a signal, and that would be the only option to put on the arterial. You need at least 5 correctable accidents within a 3-year period, and we only had 3, so it doesn't meet the signal warrants there. The other option to eliminate offset intersections is to buy property to realign the intersection. In today's current marketplace, with the values of properties in Bell Gardens, it's basically not economically feasible to do that at this time. So there's not much we can do with it. If accidents do increase, you could relegate both legs to be right turns in and right turns out, with no left turn access. That would mitigate it. The west leg of Shoal is pretty straightforward because it got access to Eastern. So they go around the block. In the same way with East Leg, it swings around back to what's the name of the street on the north side of Shoal. It comes back to Garfield. Fostoria for access there. So there are options, but there's not much. And with the accident counts, there's really not a safety concern there. Yes, is it problematic during rush hour? Yes, I've gone through the intersection numerous times at 5 o'clock. And it is, but there's enough gaps in traffic with the signal at Eastern and even signals northbound at, I can't remember the street, pardon me, but there are, the signals on Garfield do allow enough gaps for a lot of traffic to make the left and right turns in and out of those streets. So at this time, we're just recommending to receive and file a report. And if conditions change in the future, we'll bring it back to the commission for analysis. I'll answer any questions.
Have there been any pedestrian-related accidents?
No. This vehicle,
That have been reported, right?
correct.
Yeah, it's possible. There have been just like vehicle accidents and other pedestrian involved collisions, but based on the data, as Doug shared, it's not accounted for in the official records. And it could be there's people just don't report as well.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you know if there are any visibility issues? Like if you're trying to turn from Shoal maybe to Garfield or trying to cross Garfield to go on to Eastern?
Not from the, depending on time of day or depending on what's parked there, could be visibility, but if there was more visibility issues, there'd probably be more, consider there'd be more accidents reflecting to that. But the 3 accidents that occurred were mostly right away issues. One didn't yield, the other one tried to get out in front of somebody, which could be corrected, but it doesn't. The counts don't warrant a signal.
And, Commissioner Barrera, if I could add too, we were just today made aware of a possible issue with visibility. And it sounds like, Doug, on the east side of Garfield, just south of Shoal, where the mobile home property is, possibly for vehicles going northbound on Garfield from Shoal. It was a very, very vague information received, so we're just trying to identify what the issue is. So we'll pass that on. Again, we just talked about it, received it this afternoon. So we'll have our engineering team look at that. But sounds like possibly vehicles parked on Garfield in front of the mobile home property on the east side are blocking the view of vehicles leaving Shoal Street, going northbound even. But we'll take a look at it and report back to the commission if any action is warranted.
Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, I need a motion from the commission to go ahead and receive and file the report at this time.
I'll go ahead and first the motion.
Okay, I need a second.
No, I'll second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, can you take roll call vote?
Absolutely. Chair Heredia,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the last item on our agenda, traffic safety analysis report. Ms. Chavez, will you please give the report?
Yes, and again, I will turn it over to our city engineer to present his findings on investigating a request for speed humps on Quinn Street from Garfield Avenue to Gephardt Avenue. Thank you, Doug.
Oh, no problem. We have a request for speed humps on Quinn Street from Garfield to Gephardt. We have a resident submit a petition form with 50% or more properties requesting speed humps. And so we took a look at it, and per our policy, just for everybody's information, that speed humps are only installed on local residential streets with 1 lane of travel in each direction. The roadway width curb to curb needs to be 40 feet or less. No curves on the roadway segment that could make it difficult for drivers to see the speed humps. Traffic volumes between 500 and 3,500 vehicles per day. The posted speed limit or the prima facie speed limit is 25 miles an hour on the street, which it is in this case. And the actual measured 85th percentile of speeds must be greater than 8 miles an hour or more than the posted speed limit. So that makes it 33 miles per hour. And the street is not a transit route or a primary emergency route, and so forth. So we took volumes and speed counts of the section to confirm that there was a report of speed humps are requested because someone thinks there's a speeding issue on the street. And so we took the data to see if there actually was. We come to find out that the average daily traffic meets the policy. However, the speed limit does not. The 85th percentile was at 26 miles per hour, which is within the realms of the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. So yes, it will be 15% of the population exceeds 26 miles an hour, but we have to, for speed humps to be installed, that 26 miles an hour percentage needs to be 8 miles above, which would be 33 miles per hour. So there's not enough, so we don't meet the speed policy criteria for that. So, and also there's a bend at this portion of Quinn Street, about a 45-degree angle, about 200 feet west of Garfield on Quinn, which poses another safety issue with regards to sight visibility of the speed humps. So with those two policy items not met, my recommendation to deny the request for speed humps based on the findings that the curvature would block the view of the speed humps and the 85th percentile was not met. And I'll answer any questions.
Yeah, I had a quick question. For our forms where residents can go ahead and request speed humps, I know that it's becoming more and more popular over the last 2 years for this to happen. I was just wondering if we have maybe a list of common reasons why a street might not be able to accommodate speed humps. I'm taking a look here at the list of the analysis of request. All the different reasons why it might not meet it. Is that on the form for request, or is there like a link to maybe common things that a street might have the features of not being able to support speed humps?
Chair, yes, the application packet that includes the petition form also includes the policy, which lists a criteria that's evaluated against, the streets evaluated against, to determine if speed humps could then be installed. So that information is also provided to residents when requesting the petition application form.
Okay, sounds great. And by any chance, does this get back to the resident that requested it? Basically that the street's not going to be able to support the speed humps, or do they just get the information from the meetings like tonight?
We contact the organizer by phone and or by letter, yes.
Okay, sounds great. Just checking on all of that, but it sounds good then. Okay, and if there's no other questions or comments on it, then I need a motion from the commission to deny the request for speed humps based on the report findings.
I'll first the motion.
I'll second the
Okay,
motion.
I need it. Okay. Madam Secretary, can you take roll call vote?
Chair Heredia,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you. And do we have any comments from staff?
Yes, I would just like to update the commission based from the action at the September commission meeting date. There's 2 items that have already been completed. The measures painted or installed. First one was for 5800 block of Clara for directional aids. It's basically, if you go down there in the south side of Clara, there's a painted channelizer line to help guide the vehicles away from the parked vehicles once the red curb ends. So that was completed. And secondly, the red curb wingtips at the driveway of 8007 Garfield Avenue has also been completed. Just reporting back. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it sounds good to see all that progress. And do we have any comments from commissioners?
Yeah,
No
I have.
comments.
Oh, yeah, I have one actually. I know we're a little more than a month away from elections, and like people are starting to canvass. So to just make sure, to listen to all the candidates and be open when someone knocks on your door, and they want to speak to you, and just encourage other people around you to do the same.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Barrera. Yep, that's a good point. Hopefully everyone goes out there and votes. And if we don't have any other comments or questions from commissioners, then we're ready to go ahead and adjourn to the next scheduled meeting. I will now adjourn this meeting to the next scheduled meeting, November 1st, 2022. This meeting is now closed at 6:09 p.m.
And Chair Heredia, I forgot to mention one thing as I'm seeing staff moderating the virtual format, but just a reminder, all city public meetings, council commission meetings are now hybrid. So there is an option for members of the commissions, council, audience, guests to attend in person. I think there's a limit of 50 people. So you guys are welcome to continue joining by virtually as you are now, or also join in person. And that applies to city council meetings. So the first one being October 10th, next Monday. I look forward to see you all soon and have a good night. Thank you.
You as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Everybody have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night, bye.